So this story takes place back when I worked fast food. And working fast food, there's really no end to the number of weird and bizarre things that you might see. But first, I would like to thank today's sponsor, NordVPN. All it takes is for you to be in the wrong place with the wrong person, such as at a fast food restaurant, and all of your online data is at risk. NordVPN eliminates that risk and gives you the protection you need to safely and securely use the internet from wherever you might be. With just one simple tap, NordVPN will have your digital presence hidden and protected. This becomes more and more important every day in a world where cybercriminals are becoming more and more common. People that want to see your private data or steal your sensitive data have nothing stopping them from doing so if you're browsing the web unprotected. You're a much easier target and much easier to take advantage of when you use the internet without a VPN, especially in public places. A lot of the time, it's impossible to tell how secure the websites and apps you're using really are, and therefore how likely it is that your sensitive information could either get stolen or leaked. NordVPN gets rid of this problem for you and will give you peace of mind for an affordable price. Like I mentioned before, protecting yourself is as easy as a single tap, and NordVPN will work across any of your devices. You can now get 4 months free when you purchase a 2-year plan as a part of their Christmas special deal. Just go to nordvpn.com/SagaTheYoungin and use coupon code SagaTheYoungin at checkout to take advantage of this offer. I'll also put the link at the very top of the description. Working in fast food, it can be a tiring job, especially if you're working long shifts or late nights. And when I worked fast food, I would see people all the time chugging energy drinks to help them get through their shifts. I worked at 4 different locations for the same restaurant chain, and at every single one of them, there would always be people drinking energy drinks on the regular, just consuming Rockstar like it was water. I swear it became like this fast food worker cultural thing, especially with the night shift people who worked really late into the morning. It's like the nightly energy drinks were just the status quo. A good nourishing meal? Nah, who needs that when you could just down 2 monsters? Pretty sure they equal out to like the same thing anyways. Like seriously, I would walk into work and you could always count on there being energy drinks scattered across the back counter and in the lockers. Personally, I never used to drink energy drinks beforehand, but even I would sometimes find myself going to get one on my break, even though I know how bad those things are for you. Now, the summer after I graduated high school, I worked a lot of opening shifts really early first thing in the morning. So I'd get there really early in the morning and put away all the boxes from the delivery truck shipment. And I would usually work the shift with the same group of people every day. So one morning, I had been putting away the truck for like 30 minutes, and my one coworker that was supposed to be there helping me was still not there. I'm thinking to myself like, where's this guy at? And finally, after another like 15 or 20 minutes, he comes stumbling in, and right off the bat, my guy looked dead. He was struggling, just trying to walk through the kitchen. And he went on to explain that the reason he was so late was because he decided to party all night long last night and then slept for no more than an hour before he was supposed to wake up for work at 7 a.m. So I guess he had a tough time making it over, to say the least. I immediately knew that I was gonna have to put away the rest of everything by myself, because this dude was not lifting anything unless it was his foot onto the gas pedal to drive back home and go to bed. And to make it worse for him, he was supposed to be working a double shift that day, so he wasn't even supposed to get off until 6 p.m. I could barely get through a double shift on a good night's sleep, so I don't know how he was planning on doing it like this. He had massive bags under his eyes and looked so sleep deprived and just unhealthy in general. But the restaurant eventually opens for business, and he was struggling. He's like half falling asleep while putting together orders. I tried to tell him something, and he just wouldn't hear me. Like, this guy was barely awake. But not to worry, because right before he leaves to go on his break, he tells me that he's gonna go get a couple of monsters at the store to help him get through the day. But when he gets back from his break, instead of monsters, all he has is this little tiny bottle. It was really small, probably less than half the size of a water bottle. He's like, yeah, I was gonna get some monster, but then I saw this instead. Apparently, it's supposed to work better than any other energy drink out there. And so I take a look at the bottle, and it was called Redline. And the first thing I noticed was it had these warning labels all over the bottle. And then on the back, there was this entire paragraph of like 7 lines of text just talking about warning this and caution that. And then the other red flag was he mentioned that they made him show his ID because apparently it was illegal for anyone under 18 to even buy the drink. But I really didn't think much of it at the time and didn't really actually read through any of the warnings. I just kind of assumed it was because of rules and regulations that the company was probably required to follow. And so he walked to the back to drink it, and a few minutes later, he comes flying around the corner and back into the kitchen. And he was like a whole new person. I had never seen someone go from looking barely alive to being so alert so quickly. Like, I had never seen him this energized, or honestly seen anyone this energized ever for that matter. Like, energized is not even the right word to use. If he had told me he just did every stimulating drug in the world when he went back there, I would have believed him with how he started acting. He was giving off the energy that he wanted to just start fighting people. He starts pacing back and forth, starts sweating all over the place. And 5 minutes ago, this man could barely get the energy to walk around. And now he could physically not stand still. He was shaking just trying to stand there. Just looking at him, there was definitely something wrong. He was just bugging out. He walks over to me and he's like, yeah, bro, I feel this coming on real strong, real quick. I think I messed up big time. And then he takes the empty bottle out of his pocket and he goes, yeah, apparently you're only supposed to drink half the bottle at a time, but I didn't see that until after I already chugged the whole thing. So I grabbed the bottle from him, and there's like this huge meter on the backside marking how much you're supposed to drink at a time, along with a lot of warning messages saying to not drink the whole bottle at once. I mean, I didn't read any of them the first time he showed me the bottle, and I guess neither did he. He's like, my heart just keeps speeding up. The energy just keeps building and building and won't stop. Like, he looked genuinely concerned at what was currently happening to his body. I think the point where it got the worst is for when a good 20 minutes, he just started doing laps around the kitchen one after another in order to get rid of at least some of the energy inside of him. I remember our manager walked out of the office. He probably saw him walking laps around the kitchen from the cameras, and he just pointed to the door and sent him home. So he basically drank the full bottle, nearly gave himself a heart attack, and then got himself sent home from work. So yeah, I don't know about Redline, maybe more like Flatline. And keep in mind, this dude was like a 6'5" fully grown man. He was not a small guy. And this little bottle pumped him up with enough energy to the point where he looked visibly concerned because of it. Like, this stuff was making all the other energy drinks look like watered down water. They gotta step up their game. I mean, the name alone, Redline, it just sounds dangerous. But he was far from the last victim that this Redline drink would claim at that very same restaurant. Redline was still about to run through a few more employees. And you might be thinking, it's probably just because he drank the whole bottle. If you were to just drink half the bottle, you'll get a little bit of energy and you'll be good. But I don't know if that's the case either, because fast forward a few months after the first guy, and another one of my coworkers, she decided to try Redline, but she was going to be responsible, right? And only drink half a bottle, just like it says to. And so that's what she did. She only drank half the bottle and then straight up passed out. Just lost consciousness from an energy drink. So it actually did the exact opposite of what an energy drink is supposed to do. So that's 2 people now that have been taken out by this energy drink. But it's still not over. Redline still has some more damage to cause at this restaurant. And as a matter of fact, shortly after the first guy, I stopped into a gas station store because I wanted to see if they had any Redline, just out of curiosity. I wasn't going to chug an entire bottle. I mean, I didn't want to overdose on energy drink, because then I'd be in the same category as Lil Xan when he overdosed on hot Cheetos. But I wanted to try a couple sips just to see what it was like. But when I asked the guy at the counter if they sold it, he replied in a really serious tone, like, oh, we don't carry that drink here anymore. As if he was implying like, oh, that demonic drink? Nah, we only sell things here that don't give you a heart attack. So anyways, moving on with the list of Redline victims. A few months after the girl passed out, I was working a shift one night, actually with that same girl and with another one of my coworkers, let's call him Jackson. And this has got to be the most blatant abuse of an energy drink in energy drink history. And on this particular night, the restaurant was a mess. I would say way worse than normal, but this low-key was just normal. It was always this bad. And Jackson was the one scheduled to stay as late as he needed to until everything was cleaned up. So he knew he was going to be there for a while just because of how bad it was. So he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about going to get some Redline to help me make it through the night since I'm going to be here a while. And Jackson was there a few months earlier when the first guy almost had a heart attack, and he was also there when the girl passed out. So after he mentioned that, the girl adds in, she's like, why would you want to drink that thing? You will regret it. You saw what it did to me. But even though he had witnessed firsthand how badly it could go on multiple occasions, he's still like, nah, I think I'ma still go get some. That sounds like a great idea. Like, how many more examples of Redline gone wrong do you need to see? So on his break, just like he said he was gonna do, he leaves to go pick up a Redline. And he walks back in 30 minutes later with not 1 bottle of Redline, not 2 bottles of Redline, but this dude purchased 3 bottles of Redline. I'm like, what exactly are you planning on doing with those, bro? You bought enough for the rest of your shifts this month or what? And he responds with the most confident tone, "Oh no, I'm chugging all 3 of them right now." I'm like, bro, do you value having a heart that beats normally? Is sleeping something that you never want to do again? The girl is like, "So you're about to chug 6 times the amount that made me pass out." And this dude just did not care. He's like, "Well, a little energy drink never hurt anyone." And so he goes and gets a 32-ounce cup from the drink station and put a little bit of lemonade in the bottom and then just starts mixing in all 3 bottles of Redline. And if I remember, I think he even poured some Monster into the mix, you know, just for good measure, just in case. And he was being dead serious. He picked it up and chugged the entire 32-ounce cup, the entire mix. Couldn't have taken him more than 30 seconds. And almost immediately, he just started tweaking. He would try to finish a regular task, but couldn't stop making all these skittish and jumpy movements. Even just trying to do something as simple as wiping something down, he'd just be spazzing out the whole time. He said he felt like someone lit his brain on fire and that his skeleton was about to jump out of his body. He also mentioned how he had never felt his heart beat this fast before. I mean, the amount of caffeine and who knows what else that he had just injected into his body was probably insane. And then he stuck out his hands to show us what he meant, and they weren't just shaking, they were pretty much vibrating by him just holding them out. And then he started having this really bad panic attack. He was walking around the kitchen just yelling for no reason, just not acting normal. At one point, he speed walks past us and he's like, "I gotta get some of this out of my system. Tell the manager I'm going for a run," and then just walks out the door. Just in the middle of your shift, you know, just going for a quick jog. Except calling it a jog would be an understatement, to be honest, because we had these drive-through monitor cameras in the kitchen and the angle that they were at would show the rest of the complex. And so we see Jackson just running laps around the Home Depot parking lot right next to us. And even running is an understatement. This man turned into Barry Allen, started sprinting laps around the whole thing. And Home Depot is a massive store with a massive parking lot. It wasn't like a 2-lap thing either. Nah, he was out there for a good 10 minutes. And I swear when he walked back in, he wasn't even tired. Just went right back into cleaning like 10 things at the same time. But it's not like he was actually any more productive. He still couldn't stay in one place and finish a task without like spazzing out all over the place. I left shortly after that. He was still breathing all heavy, acting all jittery, covered in sweat. So I don't know how the rest of his night ended up going. I also don't know what types of strings they had to pull over at the FDA to get this thing approved, but I'm pretty sure you can still buy it today. But should you? I don't know. I feel like the safety aspect of this drink is kind of up in the air. I mean, it's all fun and games until you're passing out on the floor of a fast food restaurant. Moral of the story, if you ever see a bottle of Redline, just unscrew it and flush it down the toilet or something.